Welcome. Could you please tell me your name and why you're here?
My name is Evert Hoogendoorn. I'm working with IJsfontein. It's IJsfontein, and we're developing serious games mainly, and a lot of them are for healthcare industries.
And this is why you're here, or is it because you were invited to speak?
Well, I would have been here anyway, but I was invited to be a speaker, so that's.
So you spoke today?
No, I will speak.
You will speak. So what are you going to speak about?
I will talk about. It's a bit of an alien subject for me because I'll talk about validation of health games. We are a game design studio, so a lot of our effort will then be validated to be put to use in care or cure industries. So we face a lot of problems with validation because it's a very long process. And the workflow of making a game and keeping up with current technology really forces us to work fast and then go to market fast, while the validation process is really stretched and can be a 6-year, 10-year process, which is kind of paradoxical with our business model.
Yeah.
Really.
So do you say, well, the validating we shouldn't bother too much about?
No, I think it's really important to validate, but it's really important to together with the academia or the scientists, speed up the process so it can come into the same track as our development. And it's not something you want to do only when the product is finished, so you don't want to validate your product. You really want to validate the principles that lay as a basis for your product, so you can really use this validated knowledge in the design process as well.
So it should all start with validating.
The core of my talk will be that validation beforehand, using validated principles, should be the start of your design process. So you can tweak your design and your user experience to these validated knowledge, and then you do two things. You make a better game because you
know what you're aiming for.
You know what you're aiming for, and the other thing is that you can you have a better estimation on what risk you're taking when you're bringing it to the market faster than the validation process afterwards will take.
You say the validating process now is really long and doesn't keep pace with building a game, even though building a game is also quite a long.
Well, it can be, but a lot of the games that we make have a development cycle of like 3 months.
Oh, really?
That's
fast.
Which is compared to the 6 years of validation, a very short period.
Yeah. So how could this validation, which now takes 6 years, how could you speed it up? What sort of solution do you see?
That's a really good question because I'm not a validation expert.
No, you only know you have to.
So that's something that one of the things I want to look at together with academia, if we can develop new strategies of validation that are not focused on the effect study that you see nowadays mostly.
Because nowadays your game is finished, there is a test group, people
actually you want to have 3 test groups.
Yeah,
so you want to have a business as usual group, your control group, then you will have a group that is testing your game as it is, and then you will have a group that will test your game in slightly different circumstances, just to make sure that the data you get from the first group are valid.
Yeah. So a lot of
so you
testing.
need 150 people at least, and actually you want to have more, to play your game over a long period of time, and then you need time to analyze your tests, your results, write about it, publish it, stuff like that. So it's a very hard process.
Yeah.
And I believe that there's the history of this process came from long who are not in a hurry. They're really
they have all the time in the world.
Well, not all the time in the world, but they do have very long bows of attention.
Yeah.
We as gamers, we don't. And there's it was developed from the point of view of medication developers. So the pharmaceutical industry was really crucial in developing this strategy. And they work in a patent system, so they have 70 years to earn back their investment. We don't have 70 years because we cannot patent our game. Games are IP protected, but not patentable.
So if you have a good game, I can copy it. If
you can copy it. Well, it's still IP law. You can change it, but we have to have the return on investment in like a year. So it's a very different area we're working in. So we need a very different.
But it sounds like an almost impossible problem to solve.
Well, it's not really impossible. There's a couple of things you can do with games, especially, that you cannot do in other areas. For example, we know every click our player makes. So we have a lot more data to look at. So you can look at collecting a lot bigger data sets from one user. You could also try to compare these data sets to so-called big data, which is still a very new area, but there's some new possibilities to look at to see if there's other strategies possible that will get us faster results.
Yeah. So you aim for these faster results. When will we see them? You think? When?
Well, I think the thing we can do, we're already doing, and the things that we can start exploring more as of today. Are trying to find these validated principles to start with. So to really change your design strategy from, okay, let's make a nice game out of an idea of a problem, out of an idea of a target group, out of an idea of a content we want to apply it for, or a context we want to apply it for, to what are those things we actually know about this group. Which are the validated principles, not products, principles that we want to build our game design on. That's something we're already doing, and that is actually giving the idea that I was looking at our own portfolio, seeing a change in how we were working, and that's really giving the idea of the talk that I'll be giving. The other thing, how to find different strategies or to replace effect studies like we see them now, randomized trials. That's something that's going to take at least the same 6 years that the normal validation project will take, because you have to validate those strategies as well in the old way, because you don't have new tools to validate.
So still a long time for
still
something
a long time away.
Really changes.
That's not a good excuse not to start with them very soon.
That's true. Okay, good luck today, and thank you very much.